Okay, let's finish up step 4. So as you can see, hubs are nice and tight, so to speak. And so the wheels will go right on. I would recommend keeping the rubber off at this point. And what you can do if you want to weather these well is I would put a gray, I'd prime them with a flat black, like a rattle can, just something you'd buy at the hardware store. Do it black, and then I would do it gray just to give them a little bit of color, and then dry brush them. And at that point, then I have a little sandwich bag with some pigments in it, and I put it in there and shake it around, and then I take my finger and I rub it down like this to get most of it off, and then it sticks the pigments in the tread and around the wording or any other features that are on there. I mean, there's raised lines and stuff like that, but not all wheels are the same. Anyways, that's what I do, and then you can put it on there and you've got a much more weathered wheel looking piece rather than brand new, unless you want brand new, but just a hint. Anyways, I'd leave those off for right now, but these are nice and dry. And I tried it earlier, and these will, you can push this together nice and tight, and these will go on and off without any issue. So what I'm going to do is I push this on nice and tight, like I just said. And get my glue. Put a little bit of glue there. Now for doing the other part here, I'm going to put the glue on there, just so then when I slide this on, it goes in easier. There we go. And it comes in on this side. And another piece of detailing that might make this better is you could go and put little bolt heads on the top of that, make it look like it's retaining them more solidly. Just again, a couple of quick little hints. Is anybody going to look in there? Probably not, but if they do, what do they see? They see some bolts. That's kind of cool. All right, moving on. We've got the winch housing. I'm just going to call it a winch. It's probably a hoist housing or something like that. But so with the photo etch on the back side, you have 2 lines for folding, and there's detail on this side, so we know that it folds into it. Instead of pulling out my handy dandy little folder, I'm going to be lazy and do this. I looked up some, almost dropped it. Looked up some references, and this is kind of a crude housing that goes over it, so it doesn't need anything precise. And in fact, I think being super precise might make it look wrong. You want it to be a little rounder at the edges, and these things look like they get beat up a lot. So they're not really well. I don't even know the right words. They're not really rigid and square, or anyways, doesn't matter. Now for this, the pulley goes onto the smaller holes down in the corner, and you can open this up and put it in and then reclose it. It's a nice tight fit, just like it should be for something that's going to be pinched in there. There we go. Of course, I dropped that to the side while I'm doing this. But anyways, you can pinch that in nice, just like that. Looks good. And then this hand crank goes in, and it goes in from this side. You'll notice down here the pulley is on the front lower, so this goes in from the side. Now, this is what I noticed, and I kept it this way, is that it's either really tight or a little oversized. And you're not going to really be able to open up that hole. So you want to go in here and just clean up around this to see if you can get that in. You don't want to do a lot, because if you make it too sloppy, it's not going to work well. Just enough to slide it in there. No, not quite yet. And this is one of those things where you have to take it slow and easy, working your way through. And if you need to, look at the end from this. So I'm looking at it and it looks like it's kind of oblong. So instead of doing the whole thing, I'm going to do the wider portions. So there's that, and then do a little bit on this side here. Hopefully that'll give me what we want. Yep, there. So you just push that through so that it sticks out the other side, just like that. Now that's how it's got it set up. It doesn't really matter what shape that's in. That's what you want it to look like. Right there. And this is going to be hung like so off of this. So it's going to go, oh, sorry, go that way. Like so, just get glued on there, and then you're going to run a piece of wire from here through this pulley here and down so that the hook goes down there. Hook is right here. Now the problem is, and that's what fell, what they give you is some black thread. And that's going to frizz, and that's going to look like black thread. So instead of black thread, I've got some Beadsmith Flex Right. This is clear. They say it's clear. I think there's a slight clear coating, but at this scale, it doesn't show up. I've used it on a few other projects, and I like it. It's 0.014 inches or 0.35 millimeters. Now this says to use 120 millimeters of line. So that's 12 centimeters, and you can see that's pretty long. Here, I'll do this. 12 centimeters, that's a lot of material. And you know, am I going to be wrapping that? That's, whereas I would say you probably need about maybe 8. So let's take this one step at a time. I'm going to break out my super glue to glue that to the mountain. I'm going to super glue it because in this particular case I want to have a good, firm, strong, long-lasting contact with this, rather than even though I would prefer to use glue. Here, just showing. Put the super glue on there. I'd prefer to use model cement, but, and I am going to put this centered side to side. Huh. That cured right then, huh? Okay, make sure you know what you're doing with your super glue. So I've reapplied super glue. I'm making sure that side to side and front to back, right there. And that is rock solid. And I'm going to put the handle down like gravity's had its way with it. So now I'm going to take approximately, you know what, I'm going to take 12 centimeters just to show how long that is. I'm going to take 12. You can't see it because I have to have the my not a good night tonight. I have to have my ruler on the table so I can get a straight cut. But here is 12 centimeters of wire. And there's a whole bunch of unspooled wire over here on the side that I'm not showing you. So chaos reigns as always. Anyways, with that cleaned up, what I'm saying with their measurement is that it's got to go in through here, which it just barely will do, and in through here, and maybe wrap around, but then it wraps around here and goes to there, and you've got all that extra. What the heck? And even if you're like, well, it's meant to wrap around here, well, even if I wrap this around, which might be a little harder once or several times, and that would be something you'd need to do beforehand, is wrap it around this pulley to get that. But even if you did it for several times, you're still going to have quite a bit left over. I don't know, it seems excessive to me. What I'm going to do is take a little extra. Okay, so what do you do when you've got this already set up and you can't take it apart? Let's say we can't take that pulley out. I don't want to. Get and wrap it around your forceps. It's not going to be perfect, but it should give you enough curl that you can put it up in here. This takes a little bit of patience. All right, little super glue. So apparently in the heat of the summer, when the humidity's up, super glue loves to cure fast. So we'll see what we can do with this. And I'm sorry if I'm not getting this in the shot. I'm just not able to lean over really well and fight with this at the same time. So that doesn't seem to be working so well. I'm going to show you a different side of this that might work better. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this off pictures. I'm going to take the straight end, I'm going to dip it in the super glue. I am now going to apply that right there. And now it doesn't want to cure. Figures. Let me do it again. So anyways, put it right in here. What I'm trying to do is to get it to glue in there so I can get just a wrap and make it look good. I'll be honest, considering how this stuff was gluing to itself and all other things just a moment ago, I'm surprised. I'm going to use a little bit of my spritz just off to the side. Oh, okay. Currently, my spritz is unprimed. Okay, doesn't matter. It has glued itself. And this is still movable, remember, from when we just put that in. So then I'm going to thread this through backwards. Yes, I know I got that curl in it, but that's what's going to come off. This should go through without any issue. Here we go. So yeah, word to the wise, don't curl this if you want, just do it straight and it should work. I'm going to curve or push this through like we did earlier, but from this side. And again, this is all extra. They gave you black thread to do this with. Make sure when you're doing this that you've cleared all the parts so you're not pulling this tight. And since this wants to turn, that pulled it all the way forward. Think of this as another free online showing of how crazy things can get when you're trying to do the right thing. So, what I'm going to do, because this metal isn't cured, and you can't, I did learn you cannot use heat to attenuate that, because if you do that, it will melt the metal. It'll burn right through it. It's such fine stuff. But what I am going to do is glue that there, and I'm going to put some super glue on either side of the pulley, which will stop it from moving, but it will also stop it from moving. So I can do this, which I like. Because in real life, it's just a real thin cable that's on this. So now that I've got this kind of tightened, what I want to do is put some super glue in there. To get that to stay in the pulley. And it doesn't have to be stick straight, because this is going to supposedly show some gravity. And then last but not least, we've got to cut this so that we can put the hook on the end of this. And like I said, gravity's our friend here. But the way that they show it in the instructions is it kind of wraps around the bottom of the part here, and this gets attached. So you'll notice that there's kind of a line right here. You can just glue that right on there and then just pop this in. If you want to get more excited, you could make a shackle or a clamp or something. I'm not that worried about it at this point. I think this is going to look really good, period. It's already better than what they gave you the parts for. So I'm going to go in, nip it right there. And I'm going to put in as small but as sharp of a 50 or a 90 degree pinch as I can. Just right there. Yep, just like that. So then it can go right in there. It'll just grab it. Put the glue on that. So that is now glued in. And I can put a little bit more on there considering where I nipped it. So, there. That grabs it right at that point. Now you gotta be careful because this is glued now, or before it's glued, it's loose. And for whatever reason, doesn't want to go in the hole. What is wrong? Oh, it's splayed out, huh? Okay. So when I was putting the L shape in it, it kind of flattens out and splays out. So just keep that in mind. There. And now for that, I'll just put a little bit more super glue on there, just to secure that in. That's done. So now this is loose because it's glued, but everything else is in, and I like the way that looks, honestly. Again, I'm going to drop that down like that. At this point in time, now that this is all in, I'm going to use my tester's glue in this and put it in for the handle, and this will kind of glue that in there. Now this goes onto the framing right here as such. So put a little bit of glue all over that. I figured this would stay in a lot better, just straight as is. There we go. Just give the glue a minute or two to start settling. I like the fact that the hook is a little bit lower, like, again, like gravity has had its thing. Check it from the top to make sure that it's square. Check it from the side. Everything looks good. I'm going to put a little bit more glue there just to make sure. But there you can see from the front, from the top, from the side, everything looks good. I'm going to put that right like that. I'm going to let that dry. That is step 4. So we'll see you for step 5.